Evan K. writes, "Hey guys, love the show. I've seen lots of comments and reviews on the internet where people bash writers and their dialogue. However, I haven't been able to see where they are coming from. So my question is this: how big a role does dialogue play when it comes to a film? How important is it compared to other parts of a movie? And what does it take to make it good? Thanks and keep up the great work."
You know, dialogue is one of those things that you can't overemphasize how important it is, but it's not always the most important thing, right? If you look at anything to do with, like, say, Kevin Smith, in his best films, whether it's things like my favorite Kevin Smith film is still Clerks 2. I love that film. That thing is totally dependent on its dialogue. It's not the action, and when we say action, we don't just mean fist fights. We mean what happens. It's not just about the action. It's really mostly about the dialogue and the interaction between the characters. So in a Kevin Smith movie, dialogue becomes absolutely essential. Coen Brothers movies are all completely dialogue-centric. Yes, they have great action, and the concepts are wonderful and immersive and brilliant, yes. But the beauty of those films, what makes them really memorable, is the dialogue that comes out of the characters' mouths. Then you get a film like, say, Man of Steel. Still my favorite film of the year. But the dialogue isn't exactly the most important thing in that film. The exposition of the film is. I mean, what happens? And the dialogue just serves as a vehicle to take you from point A to point B to point C, as opposed to the dialogue being the key and central focus. So in many movies, dialogue absolutely essential. In some movies, dialogue isn't the most important thing. Look at Gravity. I mean, I love Gravity, but the dialogue is not exactly Oscar-worthy, but it doesn't matter because that's not what the type of movie that this one was. So yeah, there are some movies you can sit back and walk out knowing there was bad dialogue and rolling your eyes like crazy, but then some you can walk out and there was bad dialogue and it doesn't really make a difference because that wasn't the focus point. Schnepp, as a filmmaker, as a director, how do you see this? How does this all work out in your head?
Well, I think first and foremost, it does start with a really good script and really good dialogue to get you into it. But then workshopping with actors, a lot of actors bring so much to the character that they might influence even the way the character talks and the way the lines are delivered. It doesn't influence point A to point B, the actual storyline, but the inflections and the actual way someone speaks eventually can change dialogue completely, but the scene is still intact. The scene still starts with the characters. Whatever has to happen with those characters happens to get from, you have to move the story forward, but you want to have that flexibility, especially when you're working with really, really talented actors. You want to give them that opportunity to add, to build onto it, So I think it's an ebb and flow kind of thing. It's like and sometimes you get a script that's not that good, and you want to be able to workshop it, and bring the stuff that's in the script out.
None of the ones that you've written. But.
No. Mine are always, I never change anything. No.
Gold on paper.
Man, they're gold paper. Yeah. And they're like, no, but any script, mine or any other scripts, excuse me. Any other scripts I think are always good to workshop. And I'm sure the Coen brothers and I'm sure Kevin Smith, they do that too. I'm sure they workshop it and an actor would be like, hey, can I say it like this? And be like, yeah, no problem. As long as it's really the drive is to get through each scene to deliver to the next scene. That's the goal of any specific scene, the way it's written. So,
Dennis?
I think dialogue is very important. I think bad dialogue can take you out of a movie. But I think one of the things that I think audience members, and even myself, sometimes it's hard to distinguish between bad dialogue and bad acting. Because sometimes a really good actor will get bad dialogue, but they're good enough to make it smooth that you don't notice. Or sometimes, you get some good dialogue with a bad actor, and then it just sounds really bad. So I think it's a fine line between those two things. But I do think it's very important just to make sure it doesn't take you out of the movie. Because that's one of the things, at least for me, when there's some really bad dialogue or badly delivered dialogue, I just oh man.
And you also get that when you could have a mediocre script and an amazing actor and then a mediocre director. You get the Jeremy Irons Dungeons and Dragons screaming, I will destroy you. You're that. My mind just went to that yes, please scream louder. Well, no inflection. No, just yell the whole time. You're angry. It's that would also, you don't even know what the script was because it just destroyed.
I'm going to be thinking about Dungeons & Dragons all day now. Thank you very much for that horrible memory.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.